I was rewatching the Barbie movie the other day when I realized something. The only reason Ken is portrayed as the villain is because the film is from Barbie's point of view. Of course, I already knew that Ken was not the monster the movie made him out to be, but it was only here that I realized just by switching who the audience follows, it completely changes the tone and theming of the film. It's no longer the happy ending it makes itself out to be, but instead a dark tale of homeless, disenfranchised people losing what hope they have to live their lives. So today, let's take a look back on the Barbie movie, this time with Ken. Straight from the start of the film, we can see for a world with Skipper and Midge and Alan, plus an entire race of Kens which we can assume make up roughly half the population, the only one that's considered to be important is the Barbies. Ken isn't even mentioned once in the opening monologue. In fact, he's not mentioned up until 8 minutes and 2 seconds. Speaking of the opening monologue, it seems to go almost out of its way to show all the things the Barbies have that the Kens don't. It shows Barbie waking up in her bed, in her dream house, and being greeted by everyone she sees. All the Barbies seem to be laughably incompetent at their jobs while talking about how great and perfect they are. One instance is when we see a snippet of a court case that seems to be about some corporate lawsuit, and one of the attorneys turns into a chance to give a speech on how she doesn't get emotional and how powerful she is. Like, we as an audience don't have any reason to doubt this, but what does this have to do with the court case? Even the Kens only talk about Barbie, but in the background, before they are even mentioned, we can see the Barbies completely ignoring them and looking past them like they're second-class citizens. The first line mentioned in Ken is, "Barbie has a great day every day, but Ken only has a great day if Barbie looks at him." The Kens don't even think they deserve to exist. They feel like nothing in the Barbie's shadow, and they just want to be acknowledged. The first thing our Ken does is try to impress Barbie with his surfing skills. After he gets hurt, all he wants to know is if Barbie saw him fall. When he finds out they saw the whole thing, he starts rapidly complimenting him like he needs to make up for falling. Later, when she calls him brave for what he did, he's taken aback. It's like he just saw a miracle. He rants about how dangerous what he did was and how he doesn't even have any training to do it anyway, to the point where Barbie looks like she regrets asking. Ken at no point shows any sign of malicious intent. When he tries to kiss Barbie, and he sees she's not having it, he backs off. As soon as her party's over, it's like she's done playing with him. He just says, "You can go home now," and he asks to stay the night, not a big ask considering he's homeless, and she says, and I quote, "But I don't want you here." It's like she doesn't even consider him human. We see him walking the empty streets alone with nowhere to go, and half the population in this world lives like this. Even in the montage of Barbie and Ken going to the real world, Barbie's always just sitting and enjoying the ride while Ken is either in danger or being worked. When they first get to the real world, the people there are always making fun of them. Barbie's used to getting attention, so she realizes that they aren't nice. But Ken hasn't had anyone ever acknowledge him, so he can't tell the difference and is ecstatic they even know he's there. To quote the man himself, "They're also staring at me. Wow. I feel what can only be described as admired, but not ogled, and there's no undertone of violence. Everything's almost like reversed here." Ken is simply dumbfounded when a man says excuse me and thanks him while walking past. This next scene I feel it's important to play in its entirety and hope this video doesn't get taken down.
Excuse me, sir. Thanks, man. What's up, man?
We got a man up on this one.
Great workout, man.
You're the man! No, you're the man!
Let's hit that new goal place.
Exceeding expectations. Good stuff. So I'm not worried about it. Not now, Margaret. Let's shake on this. We're gonna make a lot of money. We're officially important.
Everything in the scene is almost exactly like the opening monologue, except now it's not just Barbie. Ken sees men working, getting respected, and making something of themselves. Although this may have always been the case in our world, in Barbie Land, the Kens are just pushed aside like a mistake. People greet him like he's a person instead of just Ken. And what's the first thing he does after realizing this? He runs back to Barbie to tell her the good news, that he is somebody and can be somebody. When he finally says yes, it's almost like he's crying. It's a sigh of relief. This is a big turning point for Ken. He's no longer just an accessory for Barbie. He realizes that he has worth, and when they pull up to the school and he sees it's called Davy Crockett, he comments on how that's a man with a horse. He knows that great people have come before him, and he has the chance to follow in their footsteps. You could even see the newfound confidence in his walk. He goes to the library to try to find out more about this new world and his possible place in it when a woman asks him for the time. He doesn't try to infringe on the Barbies even though they've kept him oppressed for so long. Instead, he tries to become successful in the real world. Unfortunately, since he doesn't have a college degree or medical training, he isn't able to get a high-paying job, but he's willing to settle for his old job at Beach. But because it doesn't exist here, he's out of options, until he gets the idea to bring what he's discovered back to Barbie Land, to free the Kens and show them that they're worth something. This is kind of unrelated, but on the trip back to Barbie Land, Barbie calls Ken totally superfluous behind his back, which means unnecessary, which isn't very nice considering he traveled across dimensions to try to help you stop turning into a human. Not that there's anything wrong with humans. When Barbie gets back, she sees the Barbies cheerleading and the Kens playing volleyball. And at the beginning of the movie, it's the other way around. It's like Barbie's immune to empathy. She sees the roles literally reversed, and not once does she think, maybe this system makes the Kens feel like objects, but as soon as it's back to the status quo, everything's suddenly perfect. The Kens at no point in the movie ever subjugate the Barbies. Even if they are brainwashed, as the movie calls it, the Kens don't know about this. They only know as much as the Barbies are saying, which is how much they love the new system. The Kens don't make the Barbies homeless like they were before. They don't refuse to acknowledge them. They let them stay in their old houses under the condition the Kens also get to live there. After Barbie attempts to force Ken to go back to being homeless, he doesn't back down like the old Ken would have. He stands up for his brethren. Now that you Barbies aren't around to run everything, we can do our hair however we like. No, you failed me. Out there I was somebody. And when I walked down the street, people respected me just for who I am. One lady, she even asked me for the time. We see Ken's arm covered in watches just in case he even gets the opportunity to tell someone the time again. He still listens to people and wants to help them and be admired. Here, I'm just a dude, and that's enough. Earlier, when she had kicked him out, Barbie had said that it's Barbie's dream house, not Ken's dream house. Ken now flips back on her, but replaces dream house with Mojo Dojo Casa House. Right, how's that feel? It is not fun, is it? When Barbie's not looking, we can see the pain in his eyes. He doesn't enjoy doing this, but he feels he has to stick up for himself. He puts on tinted glasses, which we know from an interview with Ryan Gosling are to hide his tears. I could do a whole video about how over the head the messaging is, but this video is about Ken, and I think he deserves his time to shine. The Barbies' plan to turn the Kens against each other is just flat out cruel. There's a million different things they could have done, and they went with making them feel alone and unloved. Ken was immediately ready to let Barbie move back into her old house if she agreed to let the Kens have rights. And yet they do this. Quote, "This is the final stage of our plan, to give them their dream come true, and at the peak of their happiness, when they think you actually care about their song, you take it all away." Even Barbie admits that this plan might be too extreme and she doesn't want to hurt Ken, but Gloria manipulates her into seeing Ken as some false monster. And now, it's time for what you've all been waiting for. I'm just Ken. Doesn't seem to matter what I do, I'm always number 2. No one cares how hard I tried. I have feelings that I can't explain. They're driving me insane. All my life being so polite, but I'll sleep alone tonight. Ken feels like no matter what he does, he's not good enough, and he just wants to let other people know how he feels, but he pretends to be happy and fine and goes along with whatever Barbie says. 'Cause I'm just Ken. Anywhere else I'd be a 10. Is it my destiny to live and die a life of blonde fragility? I'm just Ken. Where I see love, she sees a friend. What will it take for her to see the man behind the tan and fight for me? He knows if he had been born in the real world, he would have had opportunities to become someone, but everyone here just sees him as the dumb blonde who hangs out with Barbie. He wants her to come crawling back and apologize, but nothing he does seems to make her see him as a person. I want to know what it's like to love, to feel the real thing. Is it a crime? Am I not hot when I'm in my feelings? And is my moment finally here, or am I dreaming? I'm no dreamer. He's never felt like anyone's ever cared about him. He thinks if he tells people how he feels, they will call him weak, and he's afraid they won't like him if he's not a perfect, happy, human-shaped accessory to play with. I'm just Ken, and I'm enough. And I'm great at doing stuff. So hey, yeah, check me out. Yeah, I'm just Ken. My name's Ken, and so am I. Put that manly hand in mine. So hey, well, check me out. Yeah, I'm just Ken. He realizes that fighting with each other is pointless, and all of his other Ken brethren are worth something. When Ken finds out that the Barbies are kicking them out onto the streets again, he's overwhelmed. He feels like he let the Kens down and runs off to cry. Quote, "It was hard running stuff. I didn't love it. I just don't know who I am without you. There is no just Ken. I look so stupid. I feel so stupid." The Kens, however, are there for him, and they let him know that they think he looks cool. Ken decides to give his faux mink over to another Ken and knights him as the new head of the Kens. In the words of the new head Ken, "We were only fighting because we didn't know who we were." At the end of the day, after all they went through, the Kens only ask for one seat in the government, and the Barbies say maybe one day you'll have as much power as women do in the real world. But why? Why blame it on the Kens? Why punish the Kens? As of like a day ago in the movie, Barbieland didn't even know about the oppression of women. Are they punishing them just because they look like men, even though most of them have never met a woman? Isn't that sexism, which the movie fights so hard against? Or would it be racism because it's of how they look? I don't know. The point is it's some kind of ism. The Barbies have never been oppressed in this world. If anything, they were the oppressors. Ken deserved better. Anyway, thank you for watching. This took way too long to make. And who knows? Maybe one day Mattel will do right by Ken. Only time will tell.